So welcome to Module 2, Style. So when you write professionally, it's very important that there's a consistency from article to article, and that's what really style is all about. So in the newspaper business, the primary style manual is called AP Style, and whenever you have a question of how you should manage something, how you should handle something, that kind of thing, it goes according to AP Style. And for those of you who might have studied journalism in school, you get a big book and you have to go through and figure out how does AP want to handle it. And its examples are like titles. How do you call people? Do you call them Dr. Elliot King, Mr. Elliot King, Professor Elliot King? And then after you mention me once, and the second time in the article, are you going to call me Dr. King, Professor King, Mr. King, King, Elliot? How do you go? So that's in all professional publications. There's a style manual to do that. But as with other things, and this is a constant theme of this course, when you're writing for online publication, you're writing for two audiences. You're writing for your readers, consistency of style, and you're writing for computers. And in this case, you're actually writing for computers in two different ways. One, you're writing for what's called search engine optimization. What is going to maximize the chance that your content will be found when people are looking for it, when people are interested? I'm writing a blog on online education. How can I write my content and structure my material in a way, and this is, I'm calling it style because it's form and format and even word choice, in a way that will maximize it. If somebody types in how to teach online, my content will come up. But in the second way, and this is a really interesting way that you have to write for style on online, is also you want to make sure that your content is available to your widest audience possible. Of course, my dog always starts barking when I start making these videos. I'm just going to go on. Hopefully it's not too distracting. The widest audience possible. And so some people may not be able to see that well. And so they're using a screen reader. And so you want to make sure your content makes sense to screen readers. If you're doing audio content, you have to make sure that your content is accessible for people who may not be able to hear that well. You want to appeal to the broadest possible audience, and you don't want to build sites that disable people and not give them access to your content for whatever reasons. So really, when we're talking about style, at least for this class in writing and planning for social media, we're talking about style in three areas. We're talking about style for consistency and clarity. We're talking about style for search engine optimization, and we're talking about style for accessibility. So the module has been broken down into those three areas with a lot of content to give you some advice on how to handle all those kind of areas. In part of the challenges in style, and I'm not having you buy the AP Style book because we're really only doing 2 blog posts, 2,500 words. I don't think it's worth it to buy the whole book, but there is a link to the basics, core basics of AP Style. But one of the really interesting things in consistency is the language use in online media is changing so rapidly as well. Can you use LOL? Is that okay? When can you use it? How do you use acronyms? World Wide Web, capital letters or not capital letters? Social media, Facebook. Or can you use Facebook as a verb? We Facebooked with each other. These are all issues that they're not written in stone, but they have to be consistent in the publication. However you choose to handle it in the publication, that's how it's going to be done. So among the links in the consistency and clarity section is a link to the basics of AP style, and there's a link to the BuzzFeed style book as well. And most style books work off AP style, and then there's a copy editing section. The other part, in addition to writing for these three areas of style, consistency and clarity, search engine optimization, and accessibility, for professional writing, you have to be spelled correctly. You have to check the dictionary. Now, those of you who get email from me and read my websites know I'm a terrible speller, and a lot of mistakes go through. You have to go slow and careful. I put a link to the Merriam-Webster dictionary up there. You can use any dictionary you want. The point is, if you don't know how to spell a word, you got to check it in the dictionary. And you cannot just rely on spell checker. You got to make sure that you know what you're doing. Within that first section, I put up some grammar quizzes from New York Times, the New York Times copy editors. I put up some interesting grammar quizzes. I'll be honest with you, I get like 2 out of 10 right on these. They're really hard. I'd like you to take them and just to see the intensity that in a professional publishing situation they put on resolving grammar issues, making sure everything's correct. The writing burden in this class, and I made this decision consciously, the writing burden is not that great because I want you to go slowly. I want you to rewrite. I don't want you to write right on deadline. I want you to spread it out over the week and work really hard. By the time you put in a finished post, it's correct. No spelling mistakes, no grammar errors, consistency of style, appropriate for search engine optimization, and as good as we can do for accessibility, which is not 100% within our control at this point. The last point I want to put about search engine optimization is it's always a moving target. So you have to weigh what you're going to do for make your material more discoverable by search engines, and what you're going to do because you think it's going to be better for the readers. And that's always a balancing act. The other thing, for those of you who are up to date with current events, you know that Facebook has changed its algorithm on what it's going to promote into news feeds. Google is always tweaking its algorithm, and so you can't really get 100% locked into that. We're learning the basics of search engine optimization. There is no magic formula, or else everybody would be number one in the search engine's results page. That's obviously not the case. And from what I read, the latest iteration, Google is privileging posts of like 2,500 words. To me, that's too long. I don't find it very comfortable to read 2,500 words online, so I would never write a post 2,500 words. I picked out for this class 1,250 words. I think that's long without going way over as a target for your posts. Makes it a little bit more findable. But this is always changing. The key and the key takeaway that I want you to have from this class is you got to be thinking about these issues. Anyway, once we move through the style thing, we'll start writing our initial posts. And so on each section in style, there's exercises. Together is what, on the grading, there's a credit for style. For the style exercises, it's all three together. I just parse them out as we go through each section. And if you have any questions, as always, if they're general questions that the whole class can benefit from the answer, please post them to the water cooler. Private questions, contact me through email or send me a text and we can FaceTime. Enjoy.